Hey everyone, welcome to Caveman to Cozyman, a vintage story let's play tutorial with Tangerinepiggy. Today we're going to be getting our field set up, we're going to be getting our apiary going, we're going to have another run-in with a bear, and we're even going to end up with some goats in a pit for our future endeavors. So come along with me and let's get going. Welcome back. So, finally got a door, we're fed, got a saw, which is really awesome. We've got shears. So I think we're going to start today. Our priorities for today are going to be getting food going on this side, slash maybe getting that bear to join our other bear friends. Where they were, proving quite the useful bear hole. Another bear. So, got another bear. That bear. Decent bear. I think the goal for today is going to be setting up some food production, getting ourselves squared away. So what we're going to do, we're going to go grab that copper that we found at the end of last time when we got murdered by that bear. Somewhere over here, yep. So we'll grab that copper. We'll come down past our crops and our old house, make sure we picked up any seeds that are left. Pick up a beehive or two if we've got room. And then trek back over here, craft a bucket, and work on getting our crops set up, and maybe dig out a true cellar under our little starting hut, and finish our roof. So we'll be done with that. So that's sort of the thought for this morning. Or on our day, what day is it? On our day, on the 8th day of June. So June's wrapping up. Yeah, we want to get crops in the ground soon. We've got this storage so we can go out with pretty empty pockets. I'm going to leave all of our really cool copper tools here, except for the copper shears, because we'll do some stick gathering and we'll show how much easier life is with the copper shears for stick gathering. In fact, we'll start with these bushes here. And we also might set up another style of pit trap that doesn't have a crop in the center, but uses an animal feeding trough. There seem to be a lot of deer around. So I am finding with this new version and the way wild animals are drawn to your crops, that most effective place it seems to put up a pit trap is right alongside your fields. So we may you can see just how much easier grabbing sticks is with the shears, as the shears destroy a 3x3 block of leaves around wherever you're shearing. They're sort of the big game changer when it comes to shear, or when it comes to stick gathering technology. One of the reasons why the shears are one of the first things I build. If you're planting trees and you're just planning to cut them down later, you're not planning them to look pretty, you can plant one down low and one up one block from it. And when we come back later and they're both grown and we chop down this lower one, all the sticks from the other one, all the logs from the other one will come down too. I learned this from when we find 4x4 ancient oaks or redwoods, cutting them down and figuring out that that's sort of how that goes. So this is a good way if you're planning on cutting something down for firewood or growing a firewood tree or a wood tree for harvest. You sort of maximize your yields and minimize your effort. So we'll do a couple of those. We'll come back when they're grown. Since we've got one seed, we'll just toss it in there. Yeah. Oh, surface copper right here. I guess we'll grab this surface copper. I should have brought my pickaxe. So, mark it, go grab my pickaxe, and then we can actually... things we were talking about doing. Glad we found this here, because it gave me the chance to realize I didn't bring the things with me that I need to do the tasks that we were talking about. Really what we're after at this point, right, is securing more of the mineral to make bronze, so we can stay in the Bronze Age, or get ourselves fully into the Bronze Age, because right now we're just sort of like, we've dipped our toe magically into the Bronze Age. So really what we're trying to do here is... got tons of sticks now. Really what we're trying to do here, from a metal or from a technology standpoint, is stay or get further into the Bronze Age. So to do that, we're going to need more copper, because we used up literally like every piece of copper we had almost. Only got 1 ingot of copper left. We use up every bit of... I found out I was pronouncing this wrong, and I'm probably still pronouncing it wrong, but sapphirite? That word is all Greek to me, but so, more zinc. I'm gonna call it zinc, because I know how to pronounce that correctly. So, we're out of zinc, so we can't do bismuth bronze. We don't have any tin, so we can't make tin bronze. And we're not rolling in it as far as gold goes, so we can't make any gold bronze. And with that, we are sort of not at all prepared to continue into the Bronze Age. So ultimately, at some point we're going to want to go hunting for those. But I want to get food production up and running and stabilized, so we make sure we have good food for the winter. As you can always dig a hole in the ground. The game doesn't make it so like when the temperature gets low enough that the ground is frozen and you can't dig in the dirt anymore easily, you can always dig a hole in the ground. So a lot of times winter is great for prospecting. Not great for finding the like surface copper, but it's great for the other type of prospecting. Though it's poor, so this isn't going to be that great a find, but it's better than what we had, which was not a lot. That's sort of why I want to prioritize, because there's only, once it gets cold enough, the bees stop flying, so you can't get honey. Basically, winter comes and the only thing you can do is hunt. Then hunting gets scarce in the winter, because once the temperatures are low enough, even the animal spawns stop happening. So you end up needing to travel farther and farther away from home in order to find food, and the predators also travel farther and farther away from home to find food. So if you've got domesticated animals or a pit trap someplace, the odds go up that a predator is going to find its way into that pit trap, because the other animals that they would normally be attracted by have been eaten by you. So I like to, since we've got a fair amount of copper, I'm not so worried about the metal we've got blasting us into the next age. We'll hole so we don't fall in later. Oop. Clear this off our map. I'm gonna make a pile of claystone. I don't really want them. Get going. Ooh. Pigs. At some point we gotta try and catch some baby pigs. Got our animal husbandry on. Yeah, so here. There's our red clay. That ruins up there. We dug up those ruins. Forage. We have not dug up these ruins. Farming. What type of seeds did we get? Ooh, we got some cabbage seeds. Cabbage is the most filling of vegetables. Most versatile vegetable that's we got going right now. That's gonna be nice. Cabbage seeds to plant. They also take a long time to grow. We're looking to survive. Good one to have. Bunny rabbit. Bunnies breed very quickly, so they can be a great source of early game meat if you end up catching two in a pit trap. Also, oh, thinking that tree as it's rendering in has fruit on it and getting excited. Oh well. Wonder, we could pop down the Cave of Wonder at this point with our bronze pickaxe if we wanted to get some of that black coal, but we don't need that black coal just yet. We're not ready to launch into a huge amount of smithing. Got all the fundamental needs met for our progression at the moment. Out here somewhere. Nice, medium. Better amounts of copper. We'll see. Sometimes you find the medium ore and then there's less of it. Always. Bit of like, yay, medium, and then there's 5 pieces. No. We're one ingot shy of being able to hammer up a chisel, and then with a chisel we can do things like make the quern, make our bread, and also make our dreams a reality. We'll see if we get to a chisel this episode. The chisel might end up being like its own mini episode because I love it, and there's a lot to talk about with the chisel when you get into things. So we just broke our copper pickaxe. You can see how much quicker our bismuth bronze pickaxe makes its way through the dirt. And by dirt, I mean stone. Here, nothing. Yeah, this has actually been a pretty substantial vein of copper ore. That'll last us. You know, one of the things sometimes when you've got multiple people playing together is that you end up needing a lot more resources. So we'll probably, the copper, based on the wear and tear our tools are getting, it'll probably last us a pretty good long time. Before we run away from this hole, we're going to do a prospecting pick reading to see how, you know, if there's any minerals in the ground. I don't expect to get a good reading given how close we are from our 2 like 0 readings, but it's worth checking it out, making sure we're not doing anything, missing anything. Usually the way with the ore generate sort of follows a gradient away from a point. Might get a reading. Ah. Yeah, I thought. So yeah, this area, we're not going to come back and do any industrial, like really mining. But it's treated us well surface mining wise, so say thank you. Come on. We're gonna ditch shovel here because pile of granite. Find it later, and I'll be like, oh, why did we do that thing? Got these 2 sizes of crystallized copper, which are cool. They're pretty. Like, these are definitely something that you can put on a shelf. Like, oh, it's cool. The bigger chunks, they look neater to me than the ore normally does. So they're sort of fun, but they also have more ore in them. Sometimes when I'm going on really big mining trips, I'll bring a hammer with me because I could probably consolidate this down into 2 blocks or 2 inventory pocket slots if I smashed it. Now, do this copper marking. Go check out our crops and hit up our bees. Might need to choose to do something like sacrifice our torch to the gods of empty pockets. Berries. For these raspberries. We would sacrifice red currants to the raspberries, mainly because we got more raspberries than currants. In fact, I will sacrifice the red currants to the snack gods right now. In my face you go! Yum, 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 yum. Okay. Cranberries. I find you worthy. Being delicious. Nice that all the berry bushes are starting to come ripe. This means we'll do some foraging. Oop. Don't jump off the cliff. The death pit. Looks like animal got close enough to our thing that it still had done. Got 2 goats down here. Our ewes. We had a male down there. Be happier. If we had a male down there, we could start breeding them down in the pit. Basically turn this, put a fence up and call it, or have a goat pit that we gotta travel to. Eventually, once they were tame enough, we could attach a rope to them and lead them over to our other home. Not taking, none of this is super important right now. Yeah. Let's just do rye. That's all about the... We're going to run out of room in our... We're already out of room in our pockets of picking up bees. How our other crops are doing. Prioritize what we're bringing back and what we're going to leave locked up like it's in a cellar. Yeah, our carrots are ready, so we want to harvest those. Don't want to have to come back for our cabbages or our new farm. So we'll eat this piece of rye even though it's not the most filling. Definitely leaving a torch. So get our carrots. Sounds like we might have a rooster down in the hole. Leave some other stuff behind. Knife. Ditch our dirt. That'll get us there. So we'll be able to organize so we can take that out. Got all the seeds. We got one empty backpack slot, which means we can go snag a skep. See how many of the skeps have populated since we were last here. Berries are empty. We have Skepapalooza. Harvestable populated skep. Populated, empty. Gonna temporarily put my pickaxe down. Well, that's not what I wanted to temporarily put down. Temporarily put another basket down. No. Temporarily put my pickaxe down. Because this is empty, we pick it up in our normal inventory. And then if you hold down control, you can roll past your normal hotbar. You'll see how it loops my hotbar if I'm scrolling, select things. So I use my scroll wheel and I hold down control if you've got the default controls. Now we're in a spot to pick up the skeps. The population of the skeps always goes to poor when you pick it up and move with it. So we're going to take this harvestable one first. That way, as soon as its population gets better and it populates another skep, we can contemplate whether or not we want to smash it for its honey. Now we got a skep. And I'm going to place this skep closer. And all but 2 of our skeps have populated over here, so we're definitely going to need to do like a no backpack run. Don't get distracted and fill your pockets full of stuff, Tangerinepiggy. Little mental exercise there. So we're going to set up our little apiary. We're going to get our crops secured and dig a little pit alongside our crops for capturing animals. That has proven to be super effective. And we'll be in a place where I stop feeling quite as twitchy about food. In a place where we can start to feel better about exploring and expanding our house, our little homestead. One of the things we also need to find or keep our eyes out for is limestone or chalk. I remember finding bauxite over here. I think looking at the map, this is claystone. I think this is the shale or slate. So I haven't run across it yet. This is all granite. Yeah, so we're going to need to go on like a big wander and search for that. Or on the hunt for borax. Because if we've found borax, we can start doing leather tanning with that. Basically, you either need borax or you need something you can grind up to make lime. And that's how you get going on being able to produce leather. Hi, Bismuth. Okay. I think our next place to check with the prospecting pick is going to be these two caves. We'll check that reading versus this reading, and then we might triangulate to somewhere in here possibly for the highest reading of bismuth and tin. Oh, wait. Negative. Da, 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 da. That's borax. So, here, marking this. Glad I booped that random rock. Well, we'll be able to, once we've got we need a quern set up for that, so we'll need a chisel. Oh, we're now not going to need to wander nearly as far in order to get borax. Exclamation mark. We're not going to travel nearly as far to be able to start making leather. And the benefits of leather are being able to get backpacks. Right. With all the animals in those pits, with that borax there, we might end up sort of doing two progression jumps on the pockets, because between what we've got currently on our backs and the sacks the sack we were saving up for is the hunter backpack, and then I was trying to save up enough flax for us and plant enough flax for us to build linen sacks. And linen sacks are the step after the hunter's backpack as far as pocket size goes. And then ultimately, you get leather backpacks, and then you get sturdy leather backpacks. And that's as big as your pockets are ever going to get, the sturdy leather backpacks. So we might jump from the Stone Age of reed baskets to leather backpacks now that we found that borax over there and we've got this copper found. Gonna murder that bear before it gets skinnier. It's on the ground, even though I don't like the way it looks. More copper. All not a bad day for copper hunting. Yeah. So we're much better off. We now got 6 ingots worth of copper kicking around. See, just those 3 carrots gave us a whole ton of carrots. We're set on the carrot front for a while. I left my food out on the fire, but luckily we're hungry little creatures, so we probably, we'll eat that before it goes bad. In fact, we just ate that. I was talking earlier about how we want to make sure we've got water in our little divots before in the last episode I was talking about how we want to make sure we have water in our divots before we do our hoeing in order to get the moisture content level up on our fields when we first chip in versus when we plant. So to do that, we're going to need a bucket. For a bucket, we're going to need a flax twine. So this is setting back our progression towards the sacks a little, but it's going to help us overall because we'll be able to plant more flax seed and things like that. So we're going to finish getting our crops set up. We're also going to grab some sticks, right, so we can put a fence around it. I think we'll dig out the pit trap around this side of it. Maybe we'll do a small one. And also on this end, we'll do a small pit trap. And we'll have our entrance to our fields over here. Grab some sticks. A wattle fence. Temporarily put our beehive up here near these flowers. Then we're going to pick it up again because we're going to be setting up our apiary over in that little flowery area. Get some food going before we go to sleep. Carrot and turnip stew in order to make make sure we've got as much maximizing our space and our bowl there. 5. Sadly, the vegetable stew you can't use berries in for some reason. Torch. Some firewood for that. 7, 8. Might be a little too much, but we're gonna need another log. We've got enough planks. So to build a bucket, we're gonna make a U shape. This is a trough. We'll definitely be coming back for that when we build our pit trap that I was talking about that uses a trough instead of a plant in the ground. And then we take our flax twine over, and now we've got a bucket. And unless you have it turned off, by default, you're able to transplant source blocks of water. Very soon monsters will start coming out, so we're gonna head it home. Get ourselves a source block of water. So if you have source blocks transport turned off, you can't pick up a bucket of water like we're about to do and bring it at home and then pick it up from home and move it to another spot and just keep basically making your own ponds. But because we do not, we're using the default settings on that front, we are able to do this. All our water in the ground. And then this way, in the morning, all our soil will be saturated with moisture. And our fields will be ready to till. Get planted. Our little starter field. There's a rift nearby and activities medium. See if we can get this bear taken care of before the monsters attack us. Look in the bear. Okay. I forgot that we ditched our knife. Sake of being able to get what we wanted from the other place. Oh, yep. I hear you. I see the bad life choices I made. Thank you for reminding me. You may notice some of the napping grids and things like that look slightly different than they did last time we were playing together. And that is because I was playing around with those accessibility settings that we talked about in my little short about accessibility options for Vintage Story. So, there. Hopefully we're able to get our other tasks done and we can get in on... Yeah, so this is still an oiled brown bear, not a brown bear pelt yet. Yeah, we're 65% cured. Soon, hopefully soon, we will be able to... If I were to put this pelt on here, it would share their cured timer, so it would put those other pelts back. I'm hoping these pelts can get done sooner rather than later, so we can get our snack on. Or get our armor going. Get the coolest armor in game. The coolest looking armor. It's not the, I don't know, depends. Opinions, everyone has opinions. I think it looks awesome. It makes me happy to be a little bear. Armored seraph, so. Got to grab my sleep snacks that I can eat while I'm sleeping. Nom 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 nom. Good old lunch. Still got some fire left. I think just because it's still early game, I'm going to toss some bushmeat on the fire. I'll put more firewood on there. See how many of those cook up. We'll finish this before it goes bad, so I'm not going to worry about digging up our cellar and putting it in there. Get to work on our fields. You can see our moisture levels up, and as soon as we till the soil, it's instantly moist. There's animals like the goats and the sheep that will eat the grass, and we've got our roof. So if I need to break all this grass anyway, I'm harvesting it so we can work on finishing our roof out. Our house looks a little less half finished. There's always so much to do. I don't think our hoe is going to make it through tilling all of these fields, so but we've got everything we need. Another hoe. Peak of the devil. Oh. Boop, boop, boop. Ripping off rocks. Very rarely until I'm starting to do really, really large fields will do anything other than the flint hoe. The other ones are a little faster, but mostly they just last a lot longer. So you save the time that you waste shipping out a new one all the time. But still we're doing like massive fields for flax production or things like that at a large scale. Usually get by with just flint one. So when you're thinking about when your metals are scarce and you aren't sitting on a post-scarcity environment for your minerals, you can save some minerals by not making a hoe. For some reason, I usually always find like a copper hoe in a cave, one of the ruins. They seem to be a more common drop than other tools. So often that's the way I enter the world of having a metal hoe, is by finding one that the old ones left behind. I'm a little farmer, farming all the land, filling up the soil. Here we go again. You can see how if we had a much bigger field than this would get old pretty fast. One of the nice things, if you properly manage your tilled soil, is, and you're not moving, you don't usually need to till the same area over again. So like, I'm not going to need this hoe for quite some time. All right, let's get our fence up. We got our fence going. We can get going on getting our seeds in the ground. Slightly less of a chaos goblin with it. We're going to need to dig this soil back 2 blocks. Otherwise, creatures will be able to hop over this fence. Got that digging project in our future. I like to, for some reason, my fields, I like to have an off-center gate, which then for some reason I always end up trying to end up in a place where I'm trying to find it. That's good. Okay. What was I doing? I was building a wattle gate. I got distracted by the fact that there's a void in the distance there. Got our wattle gate on. Boop. Boop. Yeah. Grab up our seeds. So we gotta grab our basket. Get our pocket space back. Bones for the bone pile. Bones. We'll be able to grind those later to make fertilizer. Okay. Fashioning there. That's a basket of stuff in it. Empty basket. Okay. Let's roll. Get our cabbages in the ground. Boop, boop, boop. I'm going to put flax down at this end because it needs K nutrients. I'm going to put it with the carrots. I always start off trying to get my fields to be like organized and less chaotic as far as the planting pattern, as far as nutrients goes. But because everything grows at different rates, I quickly find that I end up with chaos fields. And then I just cycle through as things grow. I try and cycle through and plant something that's behind it. Definitely, that makes you twitchy. I'm sorry. But also, you'll be able to, you can set it up however you would like. I know people who would cordon this off into 4 things and only plant the K's in one and wait till everything was fully grown. That can be a bit of a luxury. So sometimes when you're first starting out, the first summer, you end up with a chaos garden, and the second summer, you end up a proper farmer. That feels accurate to lived experience, possibly. Saw some of this mature rye over here, so we're going to get it in and plant it as well. Go. Still got some places we find seeds, we'll plant them. Get our food stores going. Once those crops start to come in, we're definitely going to need more food storage, so we'll be moving into building a cellar and things like that. Get some more roof blocks, roofing tile blocks. Integrate these to our new roof. Boop. Gonna get us all 4 corners we need. We need a fair amount of those. So hopefully that's enough. We'll find out. Get ourselves up on our roof. I've gotten distracted about setting up our apiary, but that's okay. These corner blocks face depending on the way you're facing, or placed depending on the way you're facing. So if you're placing it and it's not ending up the orientation you want, not that you're clicking in the wrong spot, it's that you're facing the wrong cardinal direction. Hopefully that's helpful as you, in your professional vintage story job as a roofer. Earworms, they get you. If you hold down shift while you're walking on blocks, it does sneaking, so you can sneak up on and get closer to animals too when you're hunting, but it also keeps you from just walking directly off the edge of whatever you're working on. Last block placed. We're in the way. Go. Find if you're not on the higher part of the roof block while you're trying to place blocks alongside, you end up in the way of it. Are we gonna have just enough? Not just enough. We're gonna go with a flat roof, but we'll go with a flat roof eventually, made all out of hay. But since I won't be able to see this from the ground easily, I can pretend it's done for now. Got our little roof on, got our little beehive near our door. The bees are happy because there's flowers nearby. Might, yeah. We can't get up on our roof easily anymore, however, so might need to put a little hatch on the inside. Get us up eventually. Or some stairs, but we do. Because that's how we've been getting all the bears in our bear trap, is hopping over and then going up on our roof for safety. The ability to safely run to our roof is no more. We're living dangerously. Okay. Flint. Rest of this grass for now. For now, we won't need our bucket either, which is why I put it down. I'm going to put it down someplace slightly higher up so I don't lose it. Have in here. More flint, dirt, dry grass. Cool. We're going to grab a bowl of food. And as we got some leftover fat, we're going to render that fat from the bear that we just murdered. Bushmeat is not the tastiest treat. But it's going to stretch our food budget a bit. Keep our protein up, because you can see our protein nutrition was starting to go down. But it won't keep us full for quite as long. We need to get our food out of that crock, or out of that cook pot, so we can render some fat. Got enough rendered fat that we're going to build some oil lamps. Cool thing about the oil lamps is they don't ever burn out, so you can use them to sort of permanently light up the area around your base, but also you can use them to have a light source that the water doesn't, that won't, if you fall in water, won't cause you to be plunged into eternal darkness. It looks like we're going to have enough fat on hand to be able to build 3 of them, so we can go craft that, and then another single item. Get our pit kiln going, and I think we'll do a no backpack bees run. Try and get a few more skeps, and we'll get to work on our apiary. We got our crops in the ground. Oh, I don't think we have enough clay. We might end up needing to go on a clay run if we're... So we're making these oil lamps. You used to make the oil lamps using the red clay bowl, so if you're on an older version or you're used to an older version, that's one of the big changes, is that oil lamps are now no longer just the clay bowl with fat over it. In your crafting grid, you need actual oil lamps. So ultimately we want to make 3 of these, and then we might make another crock so we have food storage, but I don't think we're going to be able to make all of these given the amount of clay we have. So I like this color combo better for the clay. Feel much more clear for me even. It does feel a little less immersive, so I understand why the developers picked the initial choice, because it feels, the more muted colors feel a bit more like they're within the reality of the color scheme of the game. This definitely feels a little bit more like brawny. But looks like we will be able to get all of the oil lamps we need. This will leave us 2 for making our area here lit up and 1 for travel. Since the caves can sometimes have rivers or streams in them, going deep cave diving with just torches is sometimes a really bad idea. Because when your torch goes out and you're really deep down in a cave, basically your only choice is to sit in darkness till the monsters come for you. Do I have enough to make a... Oof, maybe. Gonna be close. Fingers crossed. Because you can't work clay without clay in your hand, even though that said you just need 2 pieces of clay and we had 2 pieces of clay, we might not actually have enough clay. Because as we get to using that second piece of clay, we'll no longer have clay in our hand. So sometimes you think you're like, oh, I have just enough clay to finish that storage vessel, and then all of a sudden you end up not being able to do it, like this. We don't have any clay to place anymore, so. But we do have nearby clay. Sticks for the stick pile. That is a snack. Pickaxe is up. Don't need a knife. That, but we will want a shovel. So, consolidate that. Berries with us because we're going to end up needing snacks on the road. We're actually going to put down all of our backpacks, all of our pockets, all of our reed baskets. We'll make a shovel, then go out and get some red clay and get as many beehives as we can carry, which is gonna be 4. There. Go on our pile on the ground. Okay. Oh, probably cut around here like we have been. Get our red clay from here, cut down, grab bees, come back, set up apiary. That's the day's goals. The other goal is to eat enough food on the way there that we end up with goats. Someday soon we'll be able to try and capture the baby goats using a reinforced crate. In vanilla, there's no way to trap the fully grown adult animals, but there are ways to trap their babies. That's the easiest way if you're trying to like move domesticated animals a long distance, is to set up a trap to capture one of the babies and then just carry the baby the long distance. Because I've taken a slightly wider route than I was planning, because sometimes you get distracted running around, not looking at the map. We're just going to get our clay from here. I'm just going to pull 2 stacks of clay. I'll keep us going for a little bit. Be able to make another storage vessel if we need, but we're about to not need storage vessels quite as much anymore for our storage, because we're able to, and we've got enough copper that we'll probably get some nails going. Then with the nails and the saw and planks, we're going to be able to make some chests and some double wide chests. We're going to be amazed at how many things we can stash at our base in comparison to what we were dealing with before. might be good to set up a little warehouse too. In the near future, I like to keep my storage separate from my home. Again, that's like me. I like building little villages versus building one mega home that has everything I need in it. Those are deer. There's some pig friends. They're probably a breeding pair. If we could trap them in a pit, we could throw them berries. Ooh, that was close. I guess while we're here, no, not while we're here, because I left those at home. Because I was going on a bee run. Run, okay. Now we're just beelining it to the bees. Ba-dum-tsh. Berries. So we have 2 spots free in our inventory for the rye and the rye seeds. Get them in the ground. One of the things I find on my first winter is I often end up with more of with having enough food but having nutritional deficiencies. So it can be good to make sure trying to get as big a balanced diet now. It just means that in the winter I become a little more squishy. My max health goes down. That's not the end of the world. We got Pete over here. Very fast. We're going to need more cattails at some point. But there's some cattails by us. And if we find we're needing way more cattails, because our bees are just being prolific, way more cattails than we initially thought, we can always come back here and harvest them and take their roots back and plant their roots near our new house. There's the rest of the high fertility soil we didn't grab. Still not grabbing it. That's 7 and 9, so maybe towards the end of the next session, we'll be able to come back through and grab that flax. Went swimming with my torch, so we're definitely going to need to get home before nighttime. One. That one. That one. I'm going to leave this one here to populate from these bees as sort of our backup skep in case something goes wrong with our apiary and we lose all of our bees. You know, like somehow a raccoon spawns in there and has the happiest day of its raccoon life. Bear over there to the left, which is why we hung to the right. Carrots aren't fully grown yet. These carrots. Nope. Okay. That's taking us to the early evening. So by the time we get home, get our pit kiln started, will probably be time. Go to bed again. Nice to have enough food that I don't feel guilty for running anymore. Early game, I feel really guilty for sprinting, but I'm like an always run, an always sprinter. Probably why I missed some of that surfer's copper that we ended up finding at the start of the day, but you know. I like the speed at which the world moves by when I'm sprinting, I say. We're gonna need rope. We can make rope with reeds, but we can also make rope more easily with vines. So I'm seeing a lot of hanging vines here. I'm gonna grab vines on our run home. I think we'll be able to grab enough vines in this little forest here that we can make the rope that we need for our bear pelt armor. And I can do that quickly enough that we won't get stuck at night without a torch. But we'll see that assessment was right. And if you start at the top of the vine, it'll only drop the one vine, so that's why you see me starting at the bottom of the vine and working my way up. We've got vines. When they're attached to a tree like this, it's not important, but when they're dangling down, that's when that comes into play. If you want to maximize your vine grab, you want to start low and work up. So if we just started up top there, we would have gotten one vine instead of 3. Them's just the breaks, but don't even know if that was a joke. All you gotta do is throw a rim shot after words, and then they're funny, right? The way that goes. We're gonna need to light our torch though. Hopefully we got a fire starter kicking around our base. So, no, we definitely got what we need to make a fire starter. Okay, yay, fire starter. Torch lit. Here, finish this crock off. So close. Good kill him, go. Pick up our baskets. Nope, we can't pick up our baskets. We've got beehives in our pockets. Right now it's sort of turning into our de facto apiary. But don't want that. Where'd that other one go? There we go. We'll need to gather more rats real quick for pit killing. Might bring 2 ingots worth of copper inside with some coal and pour a couple ingots while we to cool down while we sleep. In order to utilize the borax, we're gonna need a quern. Make a quern, we're gonna need chisel. Sticks. That's done firing. We'll have a light source that I can't accidentally put out. It'll be nice. Start to light up our area so at night we can appreciate all the hard work we've been doing in the day as the sun sets. Growing rye, boop. It'll be interesting to see just how quickly that rye grows. Catch up with the rest of what we've got going on. For our apiary, Sure. So, get some barrels going. No, that's jumping the gun. Not get barrels going. We might do nicer fence for our apiary. Move away from this stick-heavy wattle fence world that we've been living in. Having 40 units of copper. If you right-click, you put down one at a time. If you left-click, you put down the whole pile. That was... I was doing that. Should be able to do it with two pieces of charcoal, but bring an extra just in case. Need our tongs down inside. Where did we put our tongs? Yep. The rendered fat. That'll serve us well when we're making our lamps in the morning, or some point tomorrow as we get our apiary going. Get set up. Spread out the copper. Warm it up, warm the fire pit up a little. I need our torch. And it's still, or it's not too early to go to bed because it's summer, so we'll get this poured first. It's calm right now, so we might end up staying up all night. Working on our dreams. And our apiary going. Boo boo, watching the copper warm up. I find I try and multitask while I'm doing smithing or when I'm doing metalwork, and I very frequently mess that up. So I have gotten more paranoid in my old age. Old man Tangerinepiggy likes to watch his copper warm up. But yeah, we got our bees over. We got our crops planted at the start of the day tomorrow, or depending on how late it is, once our copper is cast, we'll be in a place where we get our apiary going. We'll want to gather more reeds, and we'll want to maybe, depending on how much time we got left, pop back for this borax. Oh, I have a limestone mark, so we could also do limestone instead of borax. Either way, we're going to need a quern, so we'll make a quern first, and then we'll go do those other things. So one thing, sometimes I start to lose stuff because I've picked bad colors or I've done things like that. And up here on the map, you can actually like turn off the terrain, so you just look at your dots. You can turn off your waypoints if you're just trying to look at your prospecting information. Turn off your prospecting information if you're just trying to look at your waypoints. And then much later in the game, when you have your own tamed elks or rideable mounts, they'll show up as a point on the map and you can turn them on or off. So sometimes when I'm looking for a thing that I've marked and it's all visually too busy for me, I'll turn off the terrain, I'll turn off the prospecting, and then I can hop around and try and find just what I want. And I was multitasking. And is that gonna make it? That's gonna make it. Yeah, it's gonna make it. Cool. Take a nap. Oh, I did not check the time. We're gonna lose a lot of daylight to sleeping. Oh well. Too late now. Oh, we didn't lose that much daylight to sleeping. Rope. More rope for the rope gods. And our pelts are cured. Yeah, we're making armor. We're making our bear hide armor today. So I gotta chop the head off this bear. Bear hide. Go here. Nope, not fur gloves. So when it's black bear head and pelt, now we got the head, now we got the pelt. Looks like we're gonna need 2 bones, or 4 bones, 8 bones, and 4 ropes. So 3. Got my 4 ropes. Gonna get my bones. Let's get going on our armor. So swank, gonna be great. Have the whole world on a plate. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you left click and hold your mouse and drag around, it quick places things. And now we're gonna have this body armor. It's gonna make us less good with ranged weapons slightly, but it will keep us slightly warmer come winter if it hasn't been beat up to hell heck. And it will keep us a little safer from drifters. It'll make us look cooler. Now we're like, yeah. Who's a survivor? We're a survivor. We're taming this land. I've dug a pit. I murdered some bears. We're set. I'm all tough. Grrr. Let's build a hat. Then it'll be even cuter. Cute and deadly. That'll be me. So we're gonna need 1 more rope and then 2 bones. And we got the rope. Rope. Oh yes. Look at us. Look at us. What? Like, yeah, nothing's gonna stop us. We're doing this. We're doing this vintage story. I'm gonna go wander off that way, even though I can't see where I'm going. Ooh, good thing I didn't wander into the pit kiln. Don't want to be on fire. I thought I just saw boots there for some reason. Yeah, red leg armor. Now I've got the use for those other hides other than being cool decorations. Chop the head off of this one too. It didn't need to have a head on it. Does mean we'll need 1 more rope. Yeah, so we'll get another rope and then we'll get our legs protected too. Fully kitted out in bear hide armor. Ready to take on the world. Let's go chop down a tree for some wood. Grab some sticks. I know I've got the 16 oak stashed in that crate or in that storage vessel, but I would like to not. I'd like to save that for leather production. We've got a little more rye ready. Ready. I can already see a winter full of porridges, which isn't that bad. Porridge is nice on a little hot porridge on a cold winter day is a nice way to start your day. I'll set it for some reason. Get a bowl of snack out. Check how long that's got left on it. Okay. So we're gonna be eating that porridge for the rest of our meals. We want to eat it before it goes bad. So at some point, I think I gotta let something go off in the container so I can show y'all how to clean your dishes. It's way easier than real life, so don't worry about. There's not like a cleaning mini game. Just chop down our sticks. That'll do. There's wolves nearby. Yep. But we're a little less afraid of the wolves now that we got our armor on. But our copper spear that we made is definitely seen better days. Oh, I have forgot to turn my mini-map terrain back on. I was like, why can't I find anything? That's the answer. Before we lose all of our crops to some hungry deer / goats. Let's get our pit trap dug, because that goat seems very interested in paying our crops a visit. Nice and easy for them. Here. I'm gonna dig it 3x3, even though the one back at our base is 3 wide and 3 deep. Even though the one back at our starter hut, our starter hole in a hill, is only 2 wide. This way I can also use it to catch bears if I need to. Or to hide from bears. Bears will clear a two wide pit. 3 is sort of the minimum you can get to catch bears. 3 wide. So there's another more surefire pit way to trap bears, but it takes a much bigger pit. So I usually just gamble with my life like it means nothing when I am hunting bears. Okay, now we got our pit that hopefully tasty, delicious animals will start wandering into. More sticks. We'll need more sticks. Good start. We're gonna turn all of these new wonderful birch logs that we got to fabulous birchwood planks. Go down to our apiary, and so there's a couple things we're going to do. One, we're going to build a gate so we can get in and out of our apiary. So we're going to do a birch. I've done these recipes wrong. We're going to do a birchwood gate, which for the gates, you keep 2 boards in the middle, 6 on the outside. When you're building fences, you can stretch your sticks with planks, and you can make fencing that way. So we'll do a couple sets of fencing. Probably as much as we can make with our sticks. There we go. That'll be more than enough fence for what we're doing. We can even make ourselves some birch ladders. Pile on the ground of those. Let's go set up our apiary over here. So we're gonna make this a little flatter. We don't need to go fully flat, but it does make, if we're not going fully flat, like carving a hole around, it does make it easier to contain our area with fencing that we want. There are so many flowers here. So let's figure out how big we can go. Landscape changing around. Once we harvest these, they're not going to grow back there. So unlike the mushrooms, we don't need to be quite as concerned with stomping on their location. So once these are grown enough, or once we decide to just gamble and harvest for seeds because we're not desperate for food, we'll be able to come back through there. Eventually pave over that chunk if we decide we want to pave over that chunk. Yeah, looks like a good size. Hopefully You know, I could do math and figure out the exact number of fence posts that we're going to need, because I think we're probably going to end up shy of what we need. But I definitely wing it when building and fencing, things like that. So yeah, I'm not much of a, it's weird to be like, I'm not much of a planner while playing this game. It involves lots of planning, as I've started to be like, okay, we got to get this and we got to do that and we're going here. But there's definitely aspects of this game where I just sort of go with how I'm feeling in the moment or the vibe, instead of being meticulous with my construction plans. We're going to end up, luckily, with a few extra fence posts. And when I've got a few extra fence posts in my apiary, I like to use them to put the beehives on. So we're gonna get our spacing out. There is an optimal distance for beehives. I could not for the life of me tell you what it is. So I'm sorry. I know this will work, so we're gonna go with it. I think there's like certain things where overlapping flowers can't be counted, or maybe that was an old mechanic. At one point, I read a thing where people were trying to figure out the optimum placing for beehives, and it broke my mind. And I sort of just make sure that they've got at least one space between them, and that seems to be good enough for the bees. If it's good enough for the bees, it's good enough for the me's. That's my campaign slogan. I guess a campaign slogan would be like, if it's good enough for the bees, it's good enough for yous, but that doesn't sound as good as far as the alliteration goes, so. Great, now we'll get our filled skeps placed, and maybe see about getting some backup skeps. And we got a couple extra little ladder pieces. And goat is now, or not ladder pieces, fence pieces. Might do a little, just a little fence coming out. Trying having like a little fence near the front. Maybe with, flower pot at some point. Could feel a little bit, make this feel a little bit more like a front yard. A little less like a dirt hut. Which, it is, but just because we live in a dirt hut doesn't mean we have to live in a dirt hut. Broke our shovel. Now we got some places we're gonna be running a lot frequently, so we can get. What do we want to do? What do we want to do with the rest of our day? Oh, we want to move our bees. Silly me. Like, oh yeah, the apiary is done. Except the apiary is not done until the bees are in the apiary. Let's get our bees to their new home. We're gonna leave the center two empty. We'll populate them. It's empty skeps, and then hopefully they'll fill up. And my plans are the way I'm gonna be running my apiary here. The two that we're gonna harvest are gonna be the center two, and we're gonna leave these outside four. That'll just quickly populate our skeps. So instead of needing to have that, the other option would be to just harvest the front row of skeps or just the back row of skeps. So we'll see what I end up doing. Time will probably only tell. But I think having it so there's one skep that's populated for each skep that gets destroyed decreases the amount of time before your skeps are repopulated. Wonder if there's going to be enough reeds over here that we can grab without getting murdered by wolves. Should chop down the rest of that tree. It is looking sad. Yeah, there's not enough reeds over here to build a skep, I don't think. Find out. Oh, maybe. There's more reeds over here than I thought. Ultimately, we're going to need more bowls for making skeps most likely, or getting honey, because you got to squeeze the honey out into like bowls or into a bucket. So we'll see. And there's our wolf friend. Quotes on friend. As long as that wolf stays on that side of this lake, we can call that wolf our friend. That wasn't quite enough reeds. Over there. Yeah. One of these days we're going to need to go on a reed run. We're going to continuously burn through reeds now that we're doing bee production, because every time you break a beehive, you don't get back from that beehive exactly what you put into it. Ooh, lead ore. Well, that's fun. Mark this on the map. I'm going to leave that ore there because I'm not worried about someone coming to take it. We're going to mark it. Later we'll need lead for making solder and pretty windows and things like that, so it's worth marking down on our map. Lead. I don't know why, but to me lead is always purple. Which is weird. Maybe not weird. It's probably some deep hidden cultural or educational reason for that, but I always mark it purple. And no other flint around, so we're not going to be able to nap a knife without heading back home. We didn't quite get enough reeds before our knife broke, so maybe we'll go nap an axe and nap a knife and come back and harvest the rest of that oak tree. Harvest the reeds that we need to be able to build a skep. These are so happy. Look at our little bees. Buzz. Oh yeah, perfect opposite. The sun's in the right place. Look up into it. Yeah, look at us. We're so awesome. Wave. Yeah, I got bees. Oh, silly. Oh, baby goat. I run around that baby goat fast enough to convince it to fall into our bear pit. Maybe I can convince all those goats to fall into our bear pit. Don't fall into the seraph pit, which is over there. No, not falling into our bear pit. Maybe falling into our pit by the crops. Well, they're close enough now that might end up in the crop pit. We'll see. If we get a breeding pair of goats in a pit this close to our house, what we can do is we can dig a corral to a pen for them and then poke them with our fists or toss a little rock at them to get them angry at us and have them chase us. Or put a tasty snack, if we don't want to be violent about it. I found the quickest way is usually to give the wild animal a little poke, and then they will follow you into their new home without complaint. It's a grand surprise for them. Oh yeah, hey, that's not too bad, not too shabby. Thanks, Tangerinepiggy. This is easier than being a wild animal who gets eaten by bears. I will eventually give you milk, and you can make cheese, and with that cheese, you can be happy. Basically, sheep or goats are the two ways you get dairy in game, by capturing and then breeding them up so they're not so skittish that they won't hang out with you, and then getting them pregnant, having them have babies, and then for a short period after they've had babies, they are willing to. You can get milk from them, and then you can process the milk in various ways. Oh, and there was a knife just sitting right there. So I probably could have done that instead of napping a knife, but this will be good. It'll get us all the oak we need. Get going on our first batch of leather, which means we'll need dead animals, but we've got a pit full of animals back at the other base, so be able to go for them. Would have used this axe, it would have broken, it wouldn't have added our inventory, but we're just gonna abandon it next to that other knife that we abandoned. We're gonna tell it we're going to the store for milk. Come back. Breed's going. Now we got enough for a skep, but it's always good to have a little extra. We do need, I think, another piece of rope for our dreams of having full bear armor before we say goodbye today. We got big fish in here. I'm gonna go spearfishing real quick because we're low on protein. Oh, got too close. Got away. Whoops. We're throwing underwater. There we go. Cool. Now we got a fish. We can make some fish stew. Been up in the water. Our scaprite takes reeds and a little bit of clay. Clay. And it's time for food, which I have in my hands. No need to starve to death with a bowl of food in here. Although that wasn't a lot of food. Definitely need to break into our other rations. Carry that for now because we just filled that up. Got enough for a fish stew, for 2 portions of fish stew. Fish stew going. Put berries in our fish stew. Got a nice fish and black currant and carrots. Carrots. Got these berries in. 1 day, 12 hours. Now we got 1 day for all of it. Yeah, just 2 of those. And we want to scoop out from this bowl. Put our lid back on. Let's make that a lid that we don't have to break in place. We got our goats. Or any of those that we got. Goats are so fast. Male. Oh, we got female goat in there. Awesome. So we're gonna need to build a corral and get our goats into a happier. That's awesome that we got goats. That's yeah. That is throwing me for a loop. I'm like, now I got 17 million things to do. I don't want to stop playing. I gotta build them a little nice hut. I gotta build the little corral to the little nice hut and get them in that nice hut. I'm just like, oh. The to-do list never shrinks. It only ever gets bigger, but it also gets exciting, more exciting. I really like, in real life, I really like cheese. And so one of the things that brings me a lot of joy in game is when I'm able to start munching down on cheese. I'm like, yeah, I got cheese. My dreams have come true. And Where did I leave my torch? There we go. Up on the wall where we always put our torch. Nice rainy day. The rain is going to help our crops grow faster. You can see our moisture level is up to 100%. So our growth speed with the high soil is we're actually above 100% growth speed. And with our medium fertility soil, I think we were capping out at 80. So everything in there is going to actually end up, especially with the frequent rainstorms in the area, it's going to end up growing super fast. It's going to be great. I should eat that food I got out of the pit there. And we are going to need more charcoal. We do have like 2 stacks of wood with a little left over here. So I'm just going to make a quick and dirty charcoal pit and get that going. I'm going to dig 3 blocks down because I'm going to do 2 piles of wood high. You can stand in the wood pile while you're making it. The way to climb it back up. Hoping there's a monster up there. And then once you've got it up to your knees, you can hop out. Oh no. Why do we end every day, every play session like this now? I know, but you can see how much less that's hurting me. Okay, that's it. I'm tired of you. No. No, sir. I can get to ignore, hey, a flax fiber. I get to ignore a little bit more of their damage, but not completely ignore their damage. Got that going. Coming for us. Yeah, no, you don't get to run. No monsters get to run. Okay. And nothing. No benefit to that battle. Okay, gonna get this fire pit started, the charcoal pit. I guess we don't need charcoal because technically we can go mine other stuff, but this is just a passive thing that I can get running that will benefit us with the resources on hand. Sometimes I'll do that. Got our food, our bowl's empty, so we can go. Gonna make an oak solid trap door. The solid trap doors count as a sealed door, and so you can use them in place of things like that hay bale. Now, instead of having to break and place that hay bale all the time, we'll be able to boop open that trap door, grab what we want. Eventually, we'll dig a proper cellar. But the reason I wanted to grab this, so I could take this food out, I could have this crock. You just got to remember to close the door, because if you don't close the door, it doesn't work. The cellar counts as an open block. So eventually, maybe next time, we'll dig ourselves a nice cellar. Be good. We got our field set up. We got our apiary going. We got our bear armor on, or mostly on. Apparently have broken my spear and not realized it, so I'm not going to chase the monsters into the dark. We got our roof, as far as we can tell from ground level, finished. Go back through and finish it proper on the inside. And we got another bear. So all in all, not a bad day. We progressed along. Next time when we come back, we'll make a chisel. We'll get a quern going. And we'll kill a couple animals from one of our animal pits, and we'll get going on leather production. So we're in a really good place. I'm confident we're going to survive the winter. So yeah, thanks for joining me. If you had fun, please like, subscribe, leave me comments, all those fun things. I really appreciate you. I appreciate our time together, and take it easy.